Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates. On Thursday, August 21st, 2025. It's time to break the news to her children. So far, it's a tiny list of people who know that Nicole filed for divorce from her husband, Ted. In Thursday's episode, Nicole has a major relationship update to tell Kat. This isn't the news that Kat was wanting to hear. No hope of reconciliation, and Kat will have to deal with the fact that her mom and dad are never, ever getting back together. Vanessa is dealing with one issue after another these days, and the next one is just a phone call away. In Thursday's episode, Vanessa meets with a new client who has lofty demands. Recently coming into a veritable fortune, Leslie Thomas is now going to be wanting a piece of the good life, and where better to start than one of the most exclusive zip codes in the DMV, Fairmont Crest? And where better to rub it in their faces and get her sweet vengeance from than her mansion in the neighborhood? Once again, the Dupris require a problem solver, a fixer. But why would Bill want to help Vernon out? In Thursday's episode, Vernon calls Bill for help, but Bill has some demands that need to be met first. Last time they spoke to each other, Vernon laid it on thick about who had the real power and that they would never call upon Bill again. He had done his last favor for the family. Yet here we are again. Vernon needs someone to get their hands dirty so as the Dupris can continue to present the public image of being clean and benevolent. Between Dani, Andre, and Ashley, they have made a real mess of the situation. All three are single. After Ashley lets Andre know all about what she saw that night at Andre's place between him and Dani Dupri, Andre rethinks his situationships. In Thursday's episode, Dani dishes out some conditions of her own to Andre, if he wants to continue to have his cake, and eat it too, that is. Hey babes, welcome back to Gossip Delight. It's your girl Daisy, and trust me, today's tea is scorching, steamy, and absolutely unmissable. Buckle up, because we're diving straight into the drama. Here are your spoilers for Beyond the Gates on Friday, August 22nd, 2025. Dani and Naomi receive terrible news, and an assailant comes out of the shadows to attack their target. Once Anita has time to recover from her meeting with Leslie, it'll be time to drop the bad news to the rest of the family. And what bad news it is, too. Leslie is about to be rich beyond her dreams, thanks to her mother Barbara and Anita, who established the trust. In Friday's episode, Dani and Naomi receive terrible news from Anita and Vernon. The one who's going to react the worst to this news is Nicole. Ted is still reeling from being served divorce papers and the reaction he got from Anita, Vernon, and Nicole, when he went to talk to her. Despite still wanting to fix his marriage, he has to make moves to protect himself as well, as Nicole could be petty going forward. In Friday's episode, Ted seeks out Bill's legal expertise. He can't go to Naomi as she is a Dupri, and he's on the naughty list there. Bill has been there for Ted before, and hopefully, he can be again. The two cousins, Chelsea and Kat, formed their company, Chelsea Cat, to go after the purse and handbag market with their new and creative designs. Things are looking good for the duo, with success coming in waves. In Friday's episode, Kat and Chelsea have a heart-to-heart before their big launch party, but there is something or someone sinister hiding in the shadows, watching and waiting. Not a stranger, but someone they know, someone with a darker purpose. In Friday's episode, an assailant comes out of the shadows to attack their target. Look out, Chelsea, and check behind doors and under beds. What do they want? It will soon become obvious, but stay tuned, soap fans, as we head to another Friday of suspense and soapiness on Beyond the Gates. This week has been dividing fans into Team Leslie and Team Anita. Who are you siding with? Here's what went down Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. On Beyond the Gates, when Shanice became Derek's cheerleader, Andre discovered that the truth can set you more than free, and Kat decided that a cousin would do when Dr. Ruth wasn't available. On Beyond the Gates, Jacob called Derek at the hospital to check up on him. Derek jovially said that his surgery was successful and that nothing kept him down. But when Shanice came in to begin his first physical therapy session, Derek moped that there was no point to it because he was never going to walk again anyway. Shanice was surprised to hear that Derek's mood had soured from the day before. Derek replied that he had slept on things and it had sunk in what Madison had said about him going home in a wheelchair. Shanice corrected that Madison's diagnosis didn't mean Derek would have no functionality. Whether or not Derek was fully dependent or he maintained some quality of life, even if he was confined to a wheelchair, was up to him. He could fortify his upper body strength so that he could get around easier. "Those big muscles of yours aren't going to stretch themselves," Shanice winked. Derek grudgingly came around and agreed to his scheduled session. After completing his exercises, Derek said he wasn't glad he had put himself through it. Shanice said it was the movement that was important. The enthusiasm could come later. After Shanice's jokes made Derek laugh, he admitted he felt better, but he asked her a hypothetical question. If they had advanced beyond flirting, and Derek had had the same accident, would Shanice still have wanted him in spite of the paralysis? Shanice replied that his impairment wouldn't have scared her off, and that it wouldn't scare Ashley off either. Madison and Ashley discussed the compression of Derek's spinal cord and the damage the bone fragment had done to it. Feeling that physical therapy was right up Derek's alley, Ashley clung to hope that Derek would regain the use of his legs. Madison was glad that Derek had support in Ashley, but advised the nurse that she would need her own support while rallying behind Derek. At that moment, Andre got off the hospital elevator, pulling Ashley into a hug because he had heard about Derek's condition. Ashley pulled away, claiming a lack of privacy, but Andre persisted with his questions once Madison left to tend to a patient. Andre wanted to find out how Ashley was feeling about Derek's accident and declared he was there for her, causing her to yelp, "You care about me? Give me a break!" When Ashley continued to freeze Andre out, he expressed confusion about her change in attitude toward him. Finally, Ashley seethed that Andre had lied to her about breaking up with the woman he'd been seeing. Andre swore he hadn't lied, but a sickened Ashley recounted how she had seen Andre and Dani all over each other. Ashley chastised herself for being blind enough that she hadn't seen Dani was Andre's other woman. She fumed that it should have been obvious from the way Dani had intruded on their first date. "So that's what pushed you away," Andre realized, with Ashley grossed out that he was sleeping with his aunt's sister. Ashley didn't want to hear explanations from Andre, but he insisted that he had, in fact, summoned Dani so that he could break things off with her. It was just that Dani had been a wreck from feeling she had caused Haley's miscarriage, so Andre had offered her comfort. "Yes," Andre said. Ashley had seen him kissing Dani, and clothes had started to come off, but he had put a stop to any further movement toward the bedroom, and first thing the next morning, Andre had indeed ended things with Dani so he could be with Ashley. Though Ashley believed Andre, she told him it was too late. Derek's accident had shocked her into realizing that she still loved her ex, and she wanted to be by his side as he convalesced. Andre looked flattened. Chelsea called Bill from Orphe Jeans, thanking the world's best lawyer for making the Identify theft lawsuit go away ahead of Chelsea Cat's purse launch the following evening. Madison joined the anxious Chelsea and reminded Chelsea that she was amazing. Chelsea wondered how Madison was able to stay calm in the face of her much more serious occupation. Madison noted that loving what one did was the key, though having to give patients bad news was always difficult. She went over Derek's paralysis and said it made her want to show gratitude toward her blessings, like having met Chelsea. Kat visited Jacob at the police station to invite him to the purse launch. Jacob knew Naomi could attend, but he suspected he would have to work. The detective sensed that Kat had also come to ask about the investigation into Leslie. He said the probe was still in limbo because none of the evidence they had found directly tied Leslie to either Laura being run off the road or Laura's near poisoning from the potassium overdose. An animated Kat cried that Laura deserved justice because she had almost been killed. "So was my best friend," Jacob countered, shocking his cousin. Accepting Kat's apology and relating to her frustration, Jacob relayed that he currently couldn't investigate the theft of a paperclip, owing to his police chief father limiting him to desk duty for the foreseeable future. Kat changed the subject and hinted that she wanted Jacob's perspective, since he was a guy. But she then clammed up. Jacob definitely wanted to hear what Kat had to say, given her reticence. After she described how she had been underwhelmed by having sex with Tomas, Jacob assumed that Tomas was bad in bed. Kat didn't think that was necessarily true and wondered how she could determine if she herself was the problem. Jacob's opinion was that Kat needed to experience sex with another man besides Tomas, and suggested setting her up with one of the single guys he knew, but Kat didn't find that to be the answer. When Kat balked at the idea of talking to her mother about her problem, even though Nicole was a psychiatrist, Jacob counseled Kat to address the topic with Tomas, culling from his time as a married man that intimacy waxed and waned, and that it all had to do with how each person in the couple was feeling in the moment. Kat thanked Jacob for the advice and told him that she would love him forever if he could figure out a way to arrest Leslie. Tomas visited Eva in her hotel room and learned that the inheritance letter she had come to him about had been legitimate. Eva confided in him the entire story about how Barbara was Leslie's mother and her grandmother. Hearing the information Eva had found on an obscure fan site about Barbara being kicked out of the Articulettes, Tomas concluded that Barbara must not have had a contract. Eva empathized with Leslie's excitement over discovering she was Barbara's daughter, especially having recently learned that Ted was her father. But Eva also lamented that all Leslie seemed to care about was the money she had suddenly become entitled to. Eva grappled with the fact that she would never meet the grandmother she had only just found out about. Tomas understood that Eva was feeling the loss of possibility. Eva concurred and confessed that she no longer felt that she knew who she was between having gone her whole life without a father and grandmother. She likened it to trying on different clothes, only to have nothing fit. Eva then asked Tomas how things were going with Kat. He answered that their relationship was fine, but pivoted to returning to Eva the second book in the series they were reading. Tomas hoped to read the third installment, and Eva lent it to him willingly. He remarked that he couldn't wait to see if the star-crossed lovers in it ended up together. At the Dupri mansion, Leslie was aghast over Anita's claim that she had personally funded the trust that Leslie was now to inherit. Leslie viewed it as Anita's ego, and was resentful that Anita seemed to think no one but her was allowed to have money. Anita told the ranting Leslie to shut up and listen. She had set up the trust fund and had been feeding it with Dupri money. Leslie had assumed that the record company had put assets aside for Barbara, but Anita reminded Leslie that Dante Green had maneuvered Barbara out of the group before their first album had been cut. Leslie reveled in the fact that she was about to be swimming in Dupri money and defined herself as one of those rich bitches I used to envy. The unemployed fashionista purred that the windfall was coming at just the right time, since she had long blown through the 50 island she had forced out of Ted, and had been served with an eviction notice. Anita was disgusted that Leslie was so eager to collect, while Leslie swore she'd spend every penny in honor of her heretofore unknown mother, which included getting herself a place beyond the gates, conceding that Mona and Jan had told her a little about what it was like to live in Fairmont Crest. Leslie decried her past status as an outsider and was ready to take her rightful place in the pantheon of black royalty. Ms. Thomas sneered that the trust fund was all she had left of the mother she had never been able to meet because of Anita. When Leslie railed at Anita for not preventing Barbara's ejection from the group, Anita spat that Leslie knew nothing about Barbara or her story. But Leslie continued that the Dupris couldn't wash the history clean. Knowing that, even when Barbara was alive, the Articulates had referred to themselves as sisters, Leslie snickered that her mother was Anita's sister and asked, "Does that mean I get to call you Auntie Nita?" "You need to get out of my face," Anita responded, getting increasingly angry. Leslie screamed that Anita had been willing to sacrifice Barbara. Anita had destroyed her friend just to satisfy her own blind ambition. Vernon walked in just as Anita hauled off and slapped Leslie hard. Leslie cried to Vernon that his wife had assaulted her, and that brutality must run in the family, since Nicole had likewise attacked her in a diner full of witnesses, one of them being Ted. Recalling that Ted had refused to give a witness statement and that the Dupris had Detective Jacob in their back pocket, Leslie realized the futility of pressing charges. Vernon thanked Leslie. She reciprocated by thanking him for having some class. After Leslie claimed that she was there for acceptance, Anita scoffed that Leslie's only concern was money. Leslie further antagonized Anita by proposing that the Articulates arrange another concert, at which Leslie could get on stage and speak about her mother. Anita readied to expel Leslie, who snarked that it must be difficult for Anita to accept the status change, especially at her age. Vernon took the liberty of escorting Leslie out himself as she sung an Articulettes song. With Leslie gone, Anita winced and told Vernon, "I'm gonna be sick," just before running out of the room. Beyond the Gates, spoilers for Thursday, August 21st, indicate some major bombshells on the horizon in Fairmont Crest. Catherine "Cat" Richardson is stunned by an update, while Bill Hamilton has demands when asked for a favor, and Dani Dupri lays out some conditions. Read on to learn more about what's coming up on the CBS soap. Beyond the Gates, spoilers for Thursday, August 21st, reveal that Nicole Richardson will offer Cat a relationship update. This likely means that Cat will be brought into the loop about her parents' pending divorce. Then again, will Nicole update Cat on her little fling with Carlton Fitzgerald too? The two only flirted, but something is going on between them. In other news, Vanessa McBride will meet up with a new client who has some high demands. Will they be associates of Joey Armstrong? Speaking of demands, Vernon Dupri will ask Bill for some help. However, his former son-in-law will want a few things to be met first. Vernon may call Bill for help with the trust fund that Anita Dupri set up for Barbara Mitchell's family. The fourth Articulette unalived herself shortly after the group disbanded, and because Anita chose a solo career, she felt guilty about what happened to her singing sister and wanted to make things right by setting this up. Little did she know the money would be going to Barbara's unknown daughter, Leslie Thomas. Will Vernon ask for help to see the legalities of stopping the trust fund? Elsewhere, Dani will hand out some conditions where Andre is concerned. The freelance photographer recently ended the couple's situationship for a chance at real love with Ashley Morgan. But in an interesting twist, she turned down a romance with him because she saw Dani and Andre kissing. Ashley misinterpreted the kiss, as Andre was breaking things off with Dani, but now she wants nothing to do with him. Will he turn back to Dani for another casual fling as his ego is bruised? Will she have conditions for him, or could these conditions be about a potential working relationship? After all, she has a modeling agency, and he's a photographer, so maybe they'll end up working together in some capacity where boundaries need to be set. Saying she knows a hustle when she sees one, Leslie accuses Peaches of lying about her being the daughter of an Articulette on behalf of Nicole. But Peaches insists she doesn't know Nicole from the man on the moon, adding that what she does know is that Leslie's about to be very, very rich. Peaches breaks out all kinds of documents, then explains that there's a fund set up by a mystery donor for Barbara's survivors, which Leslie is the last of. "You're about to go from a have-not to having it all, and then some," Peaches tells a still skeptical Leslie. Later, Leslie tells Eva, who thinks her mama has lost her dang mind, until Peaches confirms the whole story. Once Peaches leaves, Eva and her mom try to process the news. Leslie vows that if she really does get a pile of cash, first thing she'll do is get Peaches the best doctor money can buy. Shanice is caught totally off guard when Ashley asks her to be Derek's physical therapist. Shanice promises to push Derek to the limit and beyond, despite any issues the women have had. "This is about getting our boy back on his feet, literally," Shanice insists. Ashley checks on Derek, who thinks he's getting the feeling back in his legs. Unfortunately, he's actually suffering from phantom limb syndrome. Entering Derek's room, Shanice says that she'll be his physical therapist thanks to Ashley. Eventually, Madison comes by to tell Derek that he has a long, long recovery ahead. When he leaves the hospital, he'll be doing so in a wheelchair, and there's no saying if or when he'll be able to walk again. Still chugging down champagne despite Dani's exit from the divorce party, Nicole urges Vanessa to disassociate herself from all things Joey Armstrong. Vanessa's saved by the proverbial bell when Nicole is summoned to Uptown to meet Madison, who wants to talk about getting emotionally involved in her cases. Knowing Doug's there, Vanessa tags along, only to find Doug meeting with Jacob about bringing down Joey. Madison admits she's in love with Chelsea, and that's messing with her head. Nicole advises that she compartmentalize and figure out how to deal with her emotional connections. Across the room, Vanessa rightly pieces together that Doug was asking Jacob to help him bring down Joey. Jacob exits, after which Vanessa says that her husband needs to keep her happy or he can kiss the lifestyle he loves so much farewell, especially given that he quit his job. Ted sits at the Uptown bar staring across the room at Nicole. Peaches walks in and, having no idea who he is, strolls in and strikes up a conversation. She suggests he get up off that bar stool and go to her. Every minute you sit there feeling sorry for yourself is a minute you can't get back. Once Peaches and Madison each exit, Ted approaches Nicole's table. She jokes about him having moved on with an older woman. He apologizes for his behavior at the club, and she basically suggests he give up trying for a reunion. Next on BTG, Vernon and Anita share troubling news with Dani and Naomi. Ted wants Bill's legal help. Kat and Chelsea have a heart-to-heart, and there's an assailant in the shadows who's attacking their target. The Beyond the Gates spoilers for Friday, August 22nd, 2025, tease troubling news for Dani and Naomi. Ted will need Bill's legal expertise, while Kat and Chelsea have a heart-to-heart conversation. Meanwhile, an assailant will step out of the shadows to attack their target. Dani and Naomi will be left in emotional turmoil when Anita and Vernon deliver troubling news. They might urge them to compromise with Bill regarding a secret that could expose their family. However, the exact nature of the secret hasn't been revealed yet. What will Naomi and Dani do next? Will they heed their parents' advice or take matters into their own hands? Speaking of Bill, Ted will need his legal expertise. He's received the news that his marriage to Nicole is ending. This teaser could suggest that this messy situation could get even more complicated. Seems and expensive. Kat and Chelsea will have a heartfelt conversation ahead of their launch party. Both of them express excitement and vulnerability for this highly anticipated celebration. Emotions will be high at this party, which means that anything could go wrong. Of course, no party in Fairmont Crest is without a little mystery and intrigue. A mystery assailant could emerge from the shadows and strike their target, leading to a dramatic series of events. Who will get hit? BTG star Trisha Mann Grant teased that Leslie's ambitions will become clear. Leslie never sleeps. She's already planning her next scheme. Beyond the Gates star Trisha Mann Grant teased what's next for our favorite villain. Her luck could change once she comes face-to-face with her mother. Leslie was known for manipulating Eva's feelings about Ted. She used her to get closer to the plastic surgeon, who turned out to be Eva's biological father. Leslie exposed their affair, which led to the demise of his marriage to Nicole. Unsurprisingly, Leslie is fixated on getting rich. She recently learned about a potential inheritance from her biological mother. However, Leslie is reluctant to take on any opportunity that could help improve her financial situation. She would rather manipulate others for her personal gain. There are so many more schemes to mention. Leslie has a wardrobe filled with wigs and disguises. She is also known for planting evidence to frame others. We still haven't forgotten about the time when she orchestrated Laura's nearly fatal accident. Leslie learned that her biological mother, Barbara Mitchell, was the fourth member of the Articulates until she was edged out. She later died via suicide. In an interview with TV Insider, Mann Grant shared her character's initial reactions to this news. First of all, it's a shock. And then she's like, okay, wait, what? And then she goes into Leslie mode, and that's when she goes back to her old self. And now we're scheming and plotting all over again, the actress revealed. She'll be planning some very big move and some very big in-your-face moments, Mann Grant continued. And there's going to be something that's going to happen where people are going to get up off the couch. She's always scheming and trying to figure out how to get over the next situation. At the same time, Leslie will show she has layers. For a brief moment, she will even show her human side. Leslie actually does have a heart, believe it or not. She does have a softer side. She's not a complete monster. I believe there are people out there that will be able to relate to Leslie in this moment, and it's going to touch some hearts and bring some tears, Mann Grant said before teasing. So get your box of tissues ready, because it's a bit of an emotional ride. Martin and Smitty haven't seen the last of June. Martin and Smitty are already dealing with a divided home on Beyond the Gates. June's appearance in town could make that worse. While the fathers have let Tyrell and Samantha take the lead on deciding if they want to have their mother in their lives, that doesn't mean they're looking to add a third parent to the mix. June, however, may not let that stand in her way of getting closer to her kids. On Tuesday, August 19th's episode, she defied what the teens said they wanted, which was no more communication. Unable to accept that she wouldn't at least get to say goodbye to them, she barged into Martin and Smitty's home in the hopes that she'd get to talk to her children. Smitty and Martin stood firm, protecting their kids and not allowing her to see them. They only relented when Samantha and Tyrell decided to hear June out. They thought speaking to her and acknowledging her feelings would close the door on more interactions with their mother until she's ready down the line, but that might not end up being the case. Getting a second meeting with her kids lit a fire in June. She asked Jacob if there was an opening in the shelter he told her about, and he wants to seek employment. As June told Naomi, she's going to make a better life for herself, so she's prepared for when her kids need her. It was a beautiful sentiment, but the look in June's eye suggested there was more to her thinking on this than she'd give away. Meeting Naomi, being encouraged by her, gave June the space to dream. She'd angrily railed against the attorney when Samantha and Tyrell rejected her, but was buoyed after forcing her way in to see them. She could become a problem for Martin and Smitty if she continues to push her way into their lives. They're Samantha and Tyrell's parents, not June. They help them make tough decisions, work to keep them safe, explain the world to them, and support them through everything. June gave up that right so she could do right by her kids. Trying to interrupt their home now that she's getting help shouldn't be the move she makes, but it very well might be. June dreams of a better life, and it includes her children, seemingly with or without the blessing of their parents, if her behavior in their house is anything to go by. She knew the easiest way to get a word with the teens was to go through Samantha. She leaned on her daughter's penchant for eavesdropping and brought up how she'd been the monster in her life. Drugs stole what could have been for June, Samantha, and Tyrell. All three of them are aware of what tore their family apart. But June's children aren't looking to find a way back to what they lost. They're happy with their dads. She, however, may attempt to be the parent she would have been were it not for addiction. It's an admirable position to have, but not a welcome one. We've seen how June acts when she feels slighted. She lashes out, and then she takes action. Her personality consists of persistence and a protective nature, two wonderful traits that can take a turn quickly. If Samantha ever goes to June about something her parents don't agree with her about, they may find themselves going toe-to-toe with June on a parental decision. That's certain to be nothing short of a showdown, given the unit and shield Martin and Smitty became trying to keep her from their kids, and the battering ram June turned into, in order to get her way. Next on BTG, Nicole shares her relationship status with Kat. Vanessa meets up with a high-maintenance client. Vernon wants Bill's help, while Bill is distracted with another matter. Dani sets guidelines with Andre. The Beyond the Gates, spoilers for Thursday, August 21st, 2025, give viewers a glimpse into what's next for Nicole. She will reveal her relationship status with Kat. She's not the only one who's making moves in her personal life. Nicole will share a major relationship update with Kat. This news could take her in a new direction in her life. Will she finally confirm that she's divorcing Ted? How will Kat react to this news? Who will she side with? Vernon wants Bill's help, but Bill has his own conditions that need to be met before he can offer any guidance. It sounds like he's setting some ground rules. How will Vernon react? Will he be willing to accept Bill's new conditions? Bill isn't the only one who's laying down the law. Dani is setting some conditions of her own. She will lay down terms for Andre, who is still caught in the middle of this love triangle. This could cause further tension between them as they navigate their shifting expectations. Will Andre willingly go along with Dani's terms, or will he move on? Vanessa has a new client, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing. This new client will have lofty demands that will put her patience to the test. Will Vanessa ride it out, or will she ditch this client, even if they have big money to throw around? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. This week on BTG, Anita is done with Leslie. Martin and Smitty deal with a crisis, and Chelsea's in trouble. Last week on Beyond the Gates, Nicole filed for divorce. June connected with Tyrell and Samantha for the first time in years, and Leslie discovered the original articulate, Barbara Mitchell, was her mother. This week, look for the fallout to include Leslie wasting no time before visiting Anita Dupri beyond the gates. Plus, Andre looks for answers from Ashley. And what in the world just happened to Chelsea? For a while now, Martin and Smitty have been experiencing one crisis after another. There was Martin's nightmare revelation. Then they discovered June was Tyrell and Samantha's biological mother. And now this. "Martin, I think we have a situation," Smitty says to his husband. Teasers suggest that the estranged couple has to deal with an intruder. So that's probably what Smitty is referring to here. In 2 seconds, Andre walked away from Dani, and Ashley rejected him. This week, he's completely confused about how it all happened, and he won't rest until he gets answers to why Ashley suddenly got cold feet. He gave her France, after all. Ashley's response to Andre telling her that he didn't lie was a doozy. She admitted, "I saw you and Dani Dupri all over each other." Once Andre gives the nurse his explanation, we'll see if Ashley is willing to try again. When Vanessa says she has some news to tell Vernon, Anita, and Nicole, the tone of her voice tells us this won't be good news. This could mean that she's helping Leslie find a place in Fairmont Crest. The Dupris may never be rid of Leslie. Meanwhile, Eva is really curious and has questions for her mom. "Why the rush? And why is Anita Dupri the first you need to see?" she asks. Now that Leslie has found out she's in line for a fortune, will she share her treasure with her daughter? What Leslie needs to do is pay Ted back for the money he gave Eva that ended up in Leslie's bank account. Leslie does not waste time. After learning about her biological mother being one of the OG articulates, she must think she can breathe the same rarefied air that Anita Dupri does. Let's just say that when Leslie confronts Anita at the Dupri mansion, Anita doesn't appreciate the visit. "Get that woman out of my house!" Anita yells. And is it us? Or does it look like Anita may have just finished slapping Leslie? Kat and Chelsea finally decide to focus on their business rather than their shaky love lives. From the sounds of it, their purse design company is on the rise. "Who is up next?" Kat cheers. "Chelsea Kat," Chelsea responds. "Chelsea Kat," the cousins cheer in unison. Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. Your opinions matter, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you!